Greetings. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to navigate around the Teams window, and also talk about any issues you might have when logging into Teams for the first time. And if you ever get lost and you're thinking, how do I get back to this, or how can I find that? I'll try to cover that in this video. This is basically kind of navigation. So let's head over to my Teams window here. Now, the first thing you'll want to be looking for are these buttons down the left-hand side. Now, if you're on the app on either your phone or on the tablet, then these buttons may well be at the bottom. And of course, if you ever rearrange your window or you've got the app and you've kind of moved the buttons around, they might be in a different place. But these are the symbols that you are looking for, which you can probably see above my head here. Now, you may not have exactly the same buttons as me, and I'll come back to that a little bit later, but let's go through the main ones and when you might use them. There, you should have a button at the top that says activity. Think of this as like your Facebook feed or your Instagram feed or your like your kind of Snapchat feed. Basically, any channel, any group you're part of, any kind of chat you're in, will kind of be put into your kind of notification feed here. So it's a good place to kind of go if you're looking to see what is going on in all the different teams that you're in. You can turn individual notifications on or off, and I'll cover that in a future video. Let me just shut down my emails. But basically, this is your kind of what is going on in Teams window. You then have a chat button. Students don't have this, but if you want to talk to other members of staff, so me and Mr. Dodd having a riveting conversation here, this is where you could click and you can search for a member of staff and you can try and initiate them in conversation. Of course, they won't necessarily see it because if they're not a regular user of Teams, it might not pop up. But if you do have the app, then it does appear like a normal notification on your phone. So if you are a regular user of this, it might be good to kind of get it onto your phone because then you'll get these kind of chat notifications. Students don't have chat enabled. You may be able to get into a chat with them by various methods, but they don't have this chat button. So if you're looking to have a one-on-one conversation with a student, it might still be better to do that via email. The reason why they don't have this button is because we're trying to stop students kind of having conversations with each other through Teams to kind of protect them from any kind of issues that might occur. The button you're going to be using most of the time, though, is the button that is called Teams. If you click it once, it will take you into the task, the team that you most recently used. So I was most recently into 7Q. If I click all teams, it will take me back to the list of all of the teams that I'm in. And the same thing happens if I double click the teams button here. So if I double click that, this is now the list of all of my teams. So if you're ever in a team and you're like, oh my goodness, how do I get back to all of my teams and I'm in the wrong team, click on all teams and it will take you back. The same thing again, if you kind of go into a particular window and you're thinking, oh, hang on, where's this particular student? Where's that thing I was just looking at? Are you in the right team? And one way you can make sure that you're in the right team or help to notice it is to give each of your teams or classes a different logo to kind of make it very obvious to you which particular group or task you are in. The next one down is assignments. Now, we're probably not going to be using assignments because we have Firefly, and Firefly already handles setting homework, collecting homework, all that kind of stuff. So my advice would be stay away from that tab. You can't break anything, but we're not really going to be using it. Calendar is very handy though, because if we are going to be using Teams, it's going to be to schedule lessons, and this is where we will be doing that, and I'll show you how to do that in a future video. But you've got a new meeting button up here, and that's where you're going to fill it in. Calls is where you can call people through Teams, through the apps, and you click on it and you can choose various kind of people and you can have a conversation with them. Of course, be careful when you are communicating with students, but the nice thing about doing it through Teams is that you don't have to exchange phone numbers or details like that, and of course it is viewable by the school. And then lastly, you've got a section where you can kind of keep files and do things like that. But again, Firefly probably replicates that for you, but if you want to use it, go ahead. Anytime you see 3 dots anywhere, it means there are more options that you can look through. And if I just zoom in here, you can see that actually some of my options disappear, and so again I would need to use the 3 dots just to get back to the calendar and things like that. So you can't break anything by pressing the 3 dots, and every time you see 3 dots, just press that 3 dots and it gives you more options. No matter where you see it, 3 dots is your general sign. It's like your kind of ellipsis for to be continued, to go and find out. Now behind me, I don't know if you can see this, but there's also a button that says apps, which we might well be coming to later. And there's also a handy button which lets you download the desktop app right at the bottom. So if you do want to install it on your PC, that is the place where you can do it. Now let's just go back into a team for a minute, because some teams have more than one channel. Now I'll just show you an example of what I mean. So in 7Q history at the moment, I have one channel which is called General. So basically at the moment, everything that's going to take place in that channel, in that class, is going to happen in that channel. But I can make more than one channel, and if I go into my Year 13 politics, you can see I have made a variety of channels where we might talk about different things. So for example, let's imagine this was an SLT team. We might have one channel called Health and Safety. You might have one channel called School Closure. We might have one channel called I can't think of anything. So something to do with site issues. And so you can have different conversations in different places to kind of separate it out and stop it just being one big long thread. So it might be handy for you to think about how you use that power with your classes. And you can put different people into different sub-channels as well, and I'll be covering that in a future video. But in terms of navigation, you might click in and be in the wrong channel. So you might kind of click into Year 13 politics and think, oh my goodness, I've lost the chat. Where's it all gone? In fact, you just needed to check the channel and make sure you're in the right. The last thing I'll show you in here is that you can also, in a channel, you've got different tabs at the top which can put different things in them. Now the chances are we're not going to be using most of these, but if, for example, you're looking at you're on there and you're thinking, I'm in the right class, I'm in the right place, but I still can't see what everyone's saying, then click posts and you should be able to get back to it. So hopefully that tells you how to navigate your way around. Now, one last thing here. I have noticed that when some people log into Teams for the first time, they don't have these buttons down the side. And sometimes when they log in, all they've got is a big kind of help thing, and all of the buttons are missing. I managed to solve that essentially just by refreshing the page a few times. Maybe clicking, basically I clicked a few buttons and then pressed refresh. Basic, simple, there's probably a better way of solving it, but if for any reason you're logging in and you can't see what I can see, then refresh the page, click around, and if you're not sure how to refresh the page, it's that button at the top which says reload this page. It might look different if you're on a Mac, and it also, the button on your keyboard, F5, also does that for you as well. So if I press that button here, you can see it's kind of refreshing. If you have any questions, kind of let me know, but hopefully that's given you an overview as to how you can kind of get around the Teams window, and you'll navigate the app in a similar way.